Here we go. Hello, welcome. And here we are for our next LimbPower session, Tai Chi session for LimbPower. I should be a bit more accurate. I hope you've had a good day. We're going to continue our journey into the Shibashi Qigong form. Quite a lot of people have said that they enjoy it, so that's good. We'll push on a little bit further today. We'll keep tacking a move or two on, and we'll just see how we go. So get yourselves in position. I'm going to start seated first of all. I'll stand up at some point, but I'm going to start seated. So I'm just going to push my seat back and hands resting on my knees for those of us who are seated. If you're standing up, hands just by your sides. And our first movement sets the scene. So kind of have that in mind, that we just slowly and gradually just kind of lift and then let the hands settle. If you wish, you can have a breath in and a breath out. Try to keep the shoulder girdle nice and relaxed. So just let the upper arms rotate in the shoulders as we do this. Just to begin to get ourselves into a physical and mental headspace. We're not going to be too prescriptive in how many times we do these things. About 8 is a general rule, but again, you can do less or more. You might want to emphasize a favorite movement when you do your own practice. So I'm going to do this as the last one, and then we pick up and we segue into opening the arms, closing, and then down. Once again, up, opening. Try to imagine that those fingers of yours are like feathers on a bird's wing. Have some sense of pliancy. Have a feel for the air as those hands pass through the air. If you really pay attention, you'll feel the backs of the hands get slightly cooler, and then the palms of the hands get slightly cooler as they move through the air. We'll do one more of these. And then, like so, just have a little shake out. Again, the first few movements really focus on the upper body. So if you begin to get really quite achy, you just have a bit of a shake out. Our next movement is embracing rainbows. This is where we hold our hands overhead as if we're holding a very large physio ball, and then I'm tilting to one side. Don't worry which side you start with, because we're clearly going to tilt to the opposite. If you sat down, you'll really feel how you're having to use those muscles in your torso or trunk to stabilize yourself. If you're standing up, you'll also be feeling those muscles working hard to stabilize yourself and down into the hip on either side. So it's quite a tough exercise in many respects, even though to an outside observer it doesn't look very much, but we know that actually we're working rather hard. We'll do one more to each side. So here we go, last one. Let the hands down. Again, have a little shake out because that really gets your shoulders as well. And then let's segue into parting clouds, or the fountain as it's called. Opening up, letting the hands fall away. Try to have that quality of song, letting go on the downward movement, and then lifting up, growing, feeling taller through your posture. Again, if you're standing up, there's a sense of growing up from your feet. That's it. Let the hands fall all the way down before picking them up. Try not to cut the movement short. Down we come. One more. Wonderful. And again, a little shake out. Just going to have a little cough. Excuse me. Okay. Next movement. We begin to start to build more rotation as we move into the next few movements. And this is repulse monkey, or sometimes it's called rolling hands or rolling arms. Let's turn to the right, looking over the right shoulder, lifting the palms, and then pushing the back hand, which is the right hand, forwards. And then turning to the left to look at the left hand, and then push that forward as well. And we're alternating from side to side, turning through the waist and shoulders if we're sat down. And if you're standing up, then you can let the hips turn as well, but be careful of your balance. Try not to put too much twist in the knees if you are stood up. Pushing through. And the trick here, so that you don't get too achy in the shoulders, is to make sure that your hands and arms are low, not too high. Keep the shoulder girdle relaxed and down. We'll do one more on each side. And again, if we're a little bit out of sync, don't worry. Nothing bad's going to happen. And finish there. And once again, we'll just have a little shake out. Okay. So that's our first 5 movements. We'll move into the second chunk. And I'm going to stand up for this one. I said I would. Just to illustrate, I'm going to step back. And our next movement is called rowing the boat. Swimmers will know this as the butterfly stroke with our arms. So start off small, bringing the hands up and around in circles, but forward as well to then push down. If I turn to the side, you can see that I open up, bring the hands forward and scoop down. If you ever did the butterfly stroke, you'll know just how strenuous a swimming stroke it is. Slowly make the hand movements larger and larger. Just be mindful of things around you. Try not to knock anything over. And if you wish, you can really lift the chest to get as far above your head with those hands of yours as you can. My hands have disappeared off screen as we get overhead at this point. But here they are. So we're now making as large a circle with each arm that we can, notwithstanding any issues that you may have and hopefully that you are compensating for So again, don't force range of motion where we don't have it, or if it causes us pain or discomfort. Make that the last one. Wonderful. Next movement, cast your cares away. One of my favorites. More rotation, and again, whether we're seated or standing, a good way to set yourself up or to cue yourself for this movement is to really emphasize the starting hand. So let's do right hands. So actually wave your right hand. That tells us that actually we're turning to the left. I'm scooping my hand down, and it's as if I throw my cares away to the left side. I turn my palm, and then I'm going to pick up the left. Here it is. And I'm going to do the same to the right. And then from now on, it's a case of alternating to left and then to the right, throwing our cares away with the opposite hand. Lots of rotation going on here. Again, if you're standing up with me, try not to let the knees collapse. Turn the hips and shoulders. And if you sat down, it's the waist that's doing a lot of work. And because we're bringing the hand across the body, the shoulders are getting a really good stretch as we do so. So let's do one more on each side. And again, we're not worrying about whether we're in sync. We'll just do one more. This is my last one. And there. Wonderful. I'm going to sit back down again. Just to again illustrate our next movements. I've got a really nice movement called gazing at the moon, and I'm not sure what it is like where you are, but where we are, we've got very clear skies and we've got a lovely thumbnail moon high in the sky. Let's imagine that moon is behind us and overhead, and we're going to be looking over each of our shoulders. So this is again another quite big rotation of the spine. Work within a range that's comfortable for you. I'm going to turn to my right first of all. The right hand leads the way, and I'm looking up and backwards towards the moon and lifting my hands up to point towards it, and then they relax down, and then I do the same on the left side. And I've got much less rotation on that left side than I have on the right. I'm moving a lot easier on the right side. So again, don't force things. Encourage your body a little bit, but don't force it. Again, the Tai Chi way is very much to slowly coax ourselves. There you go. It begins to feel a bit easier for me on that left side as we go. Right side, no problems. Funnily enough, the reason why I've got all that restriction on my left is because of the injuries on my right side. So again, take notice of your body and how it responds to each of these movements. Might give you a clue or an indication. We're going to do one more on each side, by the way. But it might give you an indication or clue as to which movements you might actually emphasize just a little bit more, perhaps, just to kind of help with those asymmetries that we all have in one way or another. Okay, next movement called pushing palms. or sun palms is another way of describing this. And I want you to imagine that you hold two bowls of soup. I'll let you decide the flavors or the type. Right hand, again, just give your fingers a wiggle. And again, this involves hands going to opposite sides. But first of all, tip your right hand bowl of soup and then push that hand across to the left side on a diagonal. And then turn the palm. Imagine you catch a new bowl of soup, bring it back, and then tip your left bowl of soup and push that to the right. Catch a new bowl, bring it back, and now alternate. So we're pushing our palms across the body to the opposite side. So my left hand goes to the right in this case, and then my right hand goes to the left. So again, you probably feel that this is a real mobilizer of the shoulders. You'll feel that in your respective shoulder blades, I'm assuming. I certainly can. And again, you may notice that one shoulder feels easier than the other. Again, don't try to force the same range of motion on one side just because it's a bit more sticky or a bit more stiff. Just kind of work with it. Be encouraging of your body rather than cajoling. Listen and pay attention. And just breathe comfortably as we do so. And over time, you just might find that there's just a little bit more range of motion than we had when we first got into the movement. And that's one of the nice things about this Shibashi form, is that it gives us plenty of opportunity to just get into a movement. Let's finish there, shall we? Wonderful. Have a little shake out. So our first section of Shibashi is very much upper body. We get really quite achy shoulders. And now we've moved into a chunk of movements that are very much about rotating the spine and really opening up the shoulders and getting the shoulders mobilized. Okay, here's a very familiar movement from Tai Chi, Yang style cloud form, cloud hands as it's called. It's the 10th movement in Shibashi. Let's have the right hand on top, shall we? I'm mirroring in this case, but let's have your right hand on top. Palms are in, as if we're holding a partner in a dance, okay? So palms are in. If you imagine your top hand, your right hand is between their shoulders and their bottom hand, your left hand is in the small of the back. So it's a nice close stance. So let's just take your partner gently to the right because the right hand's on top. And then we just take that hand off, just push it away. And then we exchange hands in position. Left hand on top. So now I turn and take my partner to the left. And then I exchange hands on that side. And then a turn of the torso through the waist, back to the other side, and an exchange of hands. So whichever side we move to, there's an exchange of hands at either side. And the rules of the road are whichever hand comes on top, left in this case, maybe if you're with me, that's the direction we move to. But again, don't worry if you end up out of sync. Just try to remember that the top hand tells you the direction you should be going. Right for right and left for left. Try to keep the shoulder girdle relaxed and down and breathing comfortably. and try to keep the hands lowish. Again, if you were to think about it, where that person's shoulder blades and small of the back would be, they're not that high. So keep the hands low and have this sense of supporting your partner. These really help you embody the intent of the movement, which is an embrace. Let's do one more exchange of hands, whichever side you're on. And then we just bring the hands back and relax down. So that is 10 movements out of the Shibashi form. Look out on the WhatsApp group if you are on there. I know most of you are. I'll post the document that I've done with all the movements and a little bit of description of Shibashi on the WhatsApp group. You should be able to download it, so then you've got it to keep for your own practice. And of course, then you can use it with the videos that we're making to have a review and practice of the movements in your own time. Okay, so let's finish off with some movements from a slightly different and slightly, well, quite a bit older form called 8 strands of brocade. I'll stay sat down, we'll embrace the sky. So we hold our hands as if we're holding a large ball, and then they come up to shoulder height and we turn them over and then push them up. And imagine that you hold the sky for just a second or two and then let the hands fall away to either side. And let them fall all the way down before picking them back up. The palms are in, they come around an imaginary circle, turn over, push upwards, and then once again, let those hands fall away. Round again, turn over, pushing upwards, let the hands fall away. And we'll do that one more time. Two hands hold the sky. 8 strands of brocade. The next movement is archer draws the bow. We're going to release arrows to our left and right. Some of you will have done archery. We've done archery, Kate. So imagine those targets are in the distance. Let's go to our right, shall we? Okay. Which means that when we cross our hands in front of our shoulders or upper chest, the left hand is on the outside because that's the hand that's going to take a thick bowstring, and then I'm looking to the right and I'm drawing that bow. If you've ever done archery, you'll know the movement so well. Look into the distance, find your target, let the arrow fly, and then we send that left hand out to balance the movement and bring both hands down. And this time the right hand, there it is on the outside. And now as I turn to the left, I push my left hand into the back of the bow, draw the bowstring with my right hand, let go the bowstring, watch the arrow fly. All the while I extend that right hand out. So it's a real chest and shoulder opener. Here we go, left hand on the outside, looking to the right. Breathe in as we draw the bow, fill the chest, and then as you release the arrow with the breath, watch the arrow fly in your mind's eye and find its target. And then to your left, right hand on the outside, big breath in, In fact, the breath is the trigger. As you breathe out, that's the cue to let the arrow go. Here we go to the opposite side. Breath in one heartbeat of the bow. Let that arrow go. And then once more to the left. Breath in. And the moment you breathe out, that's the cue to let that arrow fly. So we don't hold on to that aim too long. Excellent. 2 more movements. We'll just do 4 movements from the 8 strands. Our third movement is called Parting the Earth from the Sky. I'm holding a ball. One hand on top, one hand underneath, doesn't matter which. I'm bringing that bottom hand forward and up, over the top, turning over, and then I'm pressing up and down to create this S shape. Turning the palms to bring them back together to hold that beach ball. And now the bottom hand comes up over the top, turns over, press up and press down. Bring the hands together. Here we go again. Palms turning, pressing, pushing. It's called Part the Earth from the Sky. So have a sense that you create some space for yourself as you go through the motions. And then that space closes momentarily before we open that space up again. And by space, we're thinking about physical space as well as head space. Everything has a rhythm, an opening and a closing. Alas, we can't always keep things open. Things have to close and contract before being able to open once more, just like the seasons. It's Chinese New Year, or Spring Festival is the more accurate term. So we're heralding the very first glimmers of spring after winter. I know it might not feel like it, but it's there, it's coming. Make this the last one, shall we? Wonderful. Last movement, Wise Owl, more rotation of the spine. And it's similar to the movement we did in Shibashi called Repulse Monkey or Rolling Arms. Only this time we are leaving out the pushing of the palm. We're turning to the right and we're simply lifting the palms a little, not too much, and then just letting them fall away. And then we turn to the left and lift the palms. And we just let the hands fall away as we turn back to the center. Very simple, but a really nice movement. Again, it has a rhythm, an ebb and a flow. Could have a breath in if you wished, and then again, as the breath goes, you turn back to the center. And if you wish, you can just breathe naturally as you feel and just let the movement take care of itself. Make that the last one and come back. Let's finish with the 18th and final movement from the Shibashi form, which is this gathering movement of drawing the hands towards you and then letting the hands push down or settle down and then gathering once more. And because it's Spring Festival, we could have in mind all the goodness that we want to draw towards us for this year. We could also be thinking about good things for other people as well and bringing those people in mind as we do this movement. Whatever it is that you want to pay attention to or focus on. Could be general themes for the year. Not too detailed, not like setting goals. Could be very general, like I'm just going to, over the next year, try to maybe be a little bit more balanced in my diet. There you go. Very broad theme. Bit different from goal setting because it doesn't pin you down. And for some people, that's really nice not to feel the pressure of having to meet goals. I know that for some people, goals are great, but for others, they're not. So this is a nice way of embracing the idea of creating themes rather than goals. Okay, so there we go. We've done 10 movements from the Shibashi form. We've built up over the last few weeks. And we've done some movements from the 8 strands of brocade. Have a practice if you can. Look out for the document that I will share on the WhatsApp group, and I'll get this video processed and up so that if you're watching later, you can review the video, and if you're with me live, you can watch it again at your leisure. Let me stop the recording. You guys can unmute yourselves.